Okay, readers, I just filmed this entire video once all the way through and realized I wasn't recording. So, yeah. Let's talk about the books I hauled, the giant stack of books I hauled in my birthday month of September. Okay, September is always a big month for me for books because I usually get birthday money from a number of people, and this year was no exception. In fact, it kind of overwhelmed me. I got some book money from my sister. I got some book money from some other friends and family, and then I also got a gift card from Barnes and Noble from some people I do some work with in the coach training world. And so that was unexpected and delightful and a pretty good chunk of change. And so I have some books coming in October too. But let's talk about what happened in the month of September, shall we? Let's just start there. Let's do this in the order in which they pretty much arrived. Some of these you've heard about before. I'm still going to talk about them a little bit because you might not have seen those videos, but some of these were very highly anticipated reads for me this month, and I purchased them. And this one is the first one I think that we got, which is What's Next? A backstage pass of the West Wing and the cast, crew, and enduring service, legacy of service. This was one that I needed to have. I had no idea it was really this big. This is 500 and some pages. Yep, 570. Well, more than that because there's an index but I don't care. There's some photos in here. If you've watched my channel, you already know this, but if you haven't, we rewatch this series, The West Wing, now and again, and we did just do a complete rewatch of it this election year because we always find that that's a good time to do that. It's about a fictional character who was the president in the White House, obviously, for 2 terms. So it was was it 8 seasons? I think so. 7 or 8 seasons. Yeah. But anyway, this is written by Melissa Fitzgerald and Mary McCormick, who both starred in the show. One was the chief of staff secretary. The other worked in the Intel area department. And I know what that's called, but I'm too tired to remember today. So I love this. It's going to be a commitment, but I'm all in at some point. It doesn't have to be done quickly. Nothing has to be done quickly. Then I talked about this because it was an anticipated for me, but this is a re-release, An Inquiry into Love and Death by Simone St. James. This was one of her earlier novels and was republished this time last month, but it was originally published in 2013. So it's an older one. I cannot abide these stickers that don't come off, but there you go. There it is. But I love Simone St. James. I try to collect everything she's written. This is about Julian, who is an Oxford student, and her uncle has been investigating haunted houses for a while, and he dies. And she goes to clear out his home in the Scottish mountains, I think, or the Highlands. Something is going on in that house and she needs to find out. And there's an inspector from Scotland Yard that's helping her. And so I think it's a little bit of love, a little bit of creepy, spooky stuff. It would be probably great to read in October if I can get to it. It's not on my pile of possibilities, though, is it? Then I purchased The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. You might notice there's a bookmark in it. That's as far as I've gotten. I was going to read this for my book club group and I didn't finish. I talked about this the other day. If you didn't see that video, just know that I'm not sure where I am with The Diamond Eye. I think my problem, Melinda from A Web of Stories made this comment on my other video, and I think it might be slightly about that too, because the war in Ukraine is so top of the news every day and so difficult to watch. It may be that I'm not loving a Russian sniper character at this point and this war that they are all involved in against Germany at that time. So that's what the setting is. But it is historical fiction and it is a real life person that this book is based on. That's also interesting to me. And I'd like to find out, what happened to this real life person. But that would require me picking it back up. Another book by Kate Quinn that I acquired is The Briar Club. I have a number of hers, but I have only read one so far completely, and that's this one. So I'm going to talk about this in another video soon, my reading wrap up. But I purchased this from Blackwell's. This is the UK cover, and I loved it more. So that's what I did. And I will say that I read this. I did not take this with me to DC. I didn't have it then, but I read this on my Kindle because I borrowed it from the library. It took me a month and a half to get to the queue on that. So I returned it early so that others could have it. And yeah, so this is about found family, 7 women. They all end up in this boarding house. They all have different situations in their lives, and they meet and have dinner each week, and things occur in their lives, and it follows each of them and all of them collectively during the McCarthy era, which is one of my favorite eras, really. So it's set in DC, so it was perfect for me to read in DC while I was there. It's yeah, I really am happy that I got to that one. Book of the Month Club picks. Lots of hype on this one. All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. Almost everybody I know is reading this or wants to read this. It is a chunker as well, over 570 some pages. Nope, this one's almost 600. Take that back. This one is almost 600 pages. Holy cow. But it's a weird premise. 1975, Missouri. Girls are disappearing. Daughter of a wealthy family is targeted. A most unlikely hero named Patch emerges and saves the girl. And then something else happens that I don't want to know. And it doesn't tell you, but it says it's a missing person mystery, a serial killer thriller, a love story, a unique twist on each. I hear great things about this. They say it is brilliantly crafted, but you know, sometimes the hype is bigger than the value. We'll see. We'll see. And then I also got an older release from Book of the Month because I didn't see anything else I really wanted. That's The Collective by Allison Galen, published in 2021, November of that year. I had seen it then. It was intriguing to me. I didn't get it. And then when I was perusing and looking at some of the reviews of this, I thought I'd give it a shot. So Camille, her daughter is killed or dies suddenly, and Camille finds herself somehow sucked into this kind of dark web group of women whose children have also been harmed. And they have the collective, they have this sort of, I guess, way of trying to solve these crimes or to dole out justice. I'm not sure what. So then she's kind of stuck in this thing, I think, that they've created, and maybe they're asking her to do something she doesn't want to do to avenge the children who have died. But it sounds good to me, so I picked it up. Then on the Book of the Month Club train, I actually got a couple of these from Pango. This was a curation for me because I have Just for the Summer, which I read. I have Yours Truly, which was given to me by Book of the Month, and I didn't have this one. And this is the first in that trilogy, but that's not a trilogy because you don't have to read them all in order, or you don't even have to read them all, apparently. But I've been intrigued by this. So this has 2 people, one in the city, obviously, one in the country with a goat. And their names are Alexis, who's a surgeon or going to become a surgeon, and this is her family's kind of legacy. So there's a lot of pressure for her to do that. And then Daniel Grant, who's a carpenter and much younger than her and not at all like her, and their chemistry is crazy. And yet, can they mesh without heartbreak or heartache on the part of her parents and who knows who all? But that seems like something I wanted to collect and have all 3 and read them all, because I've been, like, as you know, if you've been watching my channel, kind of rekindling my love of some romance. So that's a surprise. And then I got a almost brand new copy of One Perfect Couple. If somebody read this, I mean, they were very, very careful. I've read One Perfect Couple. I talked about it already. I read it in July, I think. So this is no surprise to you. I got it on Everand on audio. I was surprised it was released so early on audio and Everand, but it did come out in the UK first. So I picked this one and got it because I own almost all of hers. I do not own Dark, Dark Woods, and I don't own The Woman in Cabin 10, but I own all of the rest of them, I think. So I enjoyed this one. Reality show, couples, something goes wrong, they're stranded on an island, people start dying. It sounds like I didn't like it. I liked it. It was a 4 star for me, although for a long time it was a 3 star for me. And then the ending really bumped it up for me a bit, but I did enjoy it. Hers aren't always 5 stars for me by any stretch. So I don't expect that, but I do. I'm just sort of loyal to Ruth Ware because she reminds me of Agatha Christie and she's a nice human being, it appears. So then I got The Examiner by Janice Hallett or Hallett, depending on your preference. And this was an anticipated for me too. And I pre-ordered it, so it came out when it was released. This is about Gila Nathaniel, who is kind of struggling with her position as faculty in this university in England, but she discovers this way of doing a research project with some other students, and she thinks this will kind of catapult her back into favor or success in some way. As you know, academics have to, they have to work hard to keep that stuff up. But something goes awry in this little experiment that she has created, and somebody dies. You can see 6 students, 1 murder. Can you solve the crime? And so it is, as Janice is fond of doing, a bunch of material, notes, reports, interviews, text messages, doodle message group, private, emails, epistolary fun. And if this one and the one that's still on my list, Twyford Code, get read this year, I will have been in, I will be able to call myself at the end of the year a Janice Hallett completist, which would be lovely, really. I got a Barnes & Noble gift card. I got a couple of Barnes & Noble gift cards, but the first one I got was smaller in size. And I was in the Barnes & Noble with my partner, and we couldn't find anything that we wanted. And so we were on our way out. We were coming down this aisle that we had been on. It was in the S's, fiction S's, I guess. And I saw this only, the sunset years of Agnes Sharp is all I saw. And I saw Soho Crime, and that was it. Never heard of this author. It was red, so it caught my attention. Then I saw the cover. I was like, "Ooh, this is cute." Lisa replies, "Yes, it is." Then I read her the synopsis. It has been an eventful morning for Agnes Sharp and the other inhabitants of Sunset Hall, a house share for the old and unruly in the sleepy English countryside. Unruly. Although they have navigated some thorny issues over the years, nothing prepares them for the unexpected visit from a police officer with some shocking news. A body has been discovered next door. Everyone puts on a long face for show, but they are secretly relieved that the body in question is not the one they're currently hiding in their shed. Sorry, Lilith. It seems the answer to their little problem with Lilith may have fallen right into their laps. All they have to do is find out who murdered the neighbor so that they can plant Lilith's death on them. With their plan sorted, Agnes and her geriatric gang spring into action, tangling with sinister bakers, broken stair lifts, inept criminals, the local authorities, and their own dark secrets. Come on. We both immediately said, that's a yes. And so it is now in our library, and I can't wait to get to it. I know. I really wish I hadn't done the October pile of possibilities before I found that. Library Hall, talked about it the other day, Still Life, Sarah Windman, Ulysses and Evelyn, and they're in the 40s first and then another timeline later. And so the beginning is the war, and he's a soldier, she's in the art restoration, I think, or art, saving the art, something like that. Salvage paintings from the ruins, yes, restoration. They meet again, I think, later, or they're reconnected in some way later. But I've heard really great things about Still Life. I have got to get to it. I might be able to renew it. It's hard to say at this point, but I have 7 days. I have 7 days before it's due back. And So that's going to be my physical read first. Then let's talk about my Libro.fm purchases because one of them has to be my Libro listen this week. And I will be traveling a bit, so hopefully I can get to that as well. So the one that I called first in the month of September was Again and Again by Jonathan Evison. This is a book club choice for my BookTube Besties book club that came after the BookTube Besties retreat that is hosted by Andy at Andy Hart's Books. I think that's it. Yeah, that is a week from tomorrow. So I've got 7 days really to listen to that. By the way, there are a lot of books that are named Again and Again. So don't be fooled. Make sure it's the blue one with the pretty puzzle pieces on it, because that to me is beautiful. So again and again, the premise of this is really quite speculative in some ways. So he is Eugene Miles. He's in a nursing home. He's at the end of his life, and he starts sharing his life with an aide named Angela, I think. And he maybe is misrepresenting his life experience, or is he? So is he dying from a age of, current century, or is he from the past, or is he some magical thing? I don't know. I think that that's the premise of it. It sounds really good. People really like it. Jonathan Evison is a new author to me, as many of my authors have been this year. And yeah, we'll just see what this ends up looking like. But I'm intrigued for sure, and I can't wait to read it and discuss it with my book club folks. I also purchased The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. You're saying to yourself, but you had that on physical copy. And yes, I did. I had been reading it steadily, making progress. And then I was like, okay, I'm traveling. I could listen to it on the flights back and forth. And also when I got back, I was not feeling in the mood to read a physical book. It was just like I was so tired. I just didn't want to hold it up. So I listened to it a little bit every day, not a lot, but I ended up finishing it though as well. So I'm good with my nonfiction read before the end of the month, but I did want it. And audio is fine. Somebody else in my family can listen to it too. And then because my daughter wanted to, and I had a bunch of credits, Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. This was a horror by Josh Mallerman that she really wanted to read. And this one is about a 8-year-old child who starts talking to an invisible friend that she calls the other mommy. And it is creepy. It says mildly creepy to downright terrifying. The other mommy is not her friend. And then apparently she leaves the little girl's kind of container of relationship and then branches out to be with other people. My daughter Megan wanted to read it. She has finished it. We have not talked about it yet, but I'm not sure it met her expectations. So I'm kind of sad about that. And then on ebook from the library, I did have the Briar Club, which I talked about earlier, which, just an easier for me to take the Kindle on the trip, which by the way, again, let me just say how proud I am of myself for only taking that Kindle on that trip. That was incredibly freeing. It felt so easy and light. And I just was happy the whole time. I was just so happy. I also got on Kindle Unlimited, I got Lisa Unger's The Doll's House. I don't know a lot about this story except that this is a creepy short story. I also got The Anti-Heroes by Jen Lancaster for my Amazon First Reads pick for the month of September. They sent me an email yesterday and said, this is your last chance. September's almost over, so I went ahead and got it. I don't think these are boxers, but these are women. So it sounds like it's found family, the power of sisterhood, witty, hilarious. They're having some struggles in their lives, these women, and they end up coming together and trying to support each other for what's occurring in their lives. Jen Lancaster has written 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 nonfiction titles and 4, 5, 6, 7, and this would be 8 fiction titles. So Jen Lancaster is no slouch, readers. So if you have read Jen Lancaster, let me know. And if you haven't, you might want to take a look at something in her list of possibilities because it sounds like she's pretty successful. That is it. And that is too much, but it is what it is. I have another big haul coming in October. I can tell you that already because I used the bigger e-card from Barnes and Noble yesterday and not just yesterday. I've been thinking about it for days and days and days. And so I finally made my final selection. Some are new releases and some are not, and some are old titles and series that I wanted to read. I have a newfound rekindling, which I'm going to be sharing with you soon as well. So stay tuned for that. Something has happened. Something has changed within me, as they say in the Wicked Broadway space. I will be filling you in on that soon. But let me know what you hauled in the month of September. Let me know if you've read any of these or if these are on your radar. Thank you so, so much for all your support, all your kindness, all your comments, and as always, happy reading. Bye.